In the BetOnline.ag sportsbook, you'll find all the upcoming betting lines for events like UFC Fight Night 123 and Bellator 188. The bookmakers have even gone so far as to install futures odds on potential super fights that aren't even remotely close to booked yet. Chael Sonnen 175 is favored against the legendary Chuck Lidell 150 in a speculative matchup. The currently suspended Jon Jones 350 also has odds up to fight Brock Lesnar 285, who is also suspended. Mixed in is a lightweight title unification fight that's supposed to happen between Conor McGregor 155 and Tony Ferguson 135. These are all well and good, but do any of them really move your needle? Super fights naturally have this irresistible, magnetic draw, and even fight fans would admit that the listed fights above wouldn't really do it for them. The JonesLesnar bout probably had the most juice, but then it literally had the most juice and people stopped caring. Truthfully, there's only one matchup that fans of this sport want to see. Hell, they need to see it. That fight is none other than Conor McGregor taking on the resurgent Georges St-Pierre. Obviously, there are a lot of little hurdles in the way. Ferguson absolutely wants a big payday and validation for all he's done throughout his storied career leading up to becoming the interim lightweight champion. Bisping probably wants his rematch, and another big score. Robert Whittaker deserves to throw down with GSP as well. Muddying the waters even more is the fact that a battle between McGregor and St-Pierre would force them to meet in between weight classes at middleweight, a division where Tyron Woodley happens to be the reigning champion. Dana White has gone on record to say how unmarketable Woodley is, and whether that's fair or not doesn't matter. It helps inform the future of what White would logically put together. Oh yeah, and we can't forget about Nate Diaz. Having 5 fighters, where championships for 3 weight classes is certainly an issue, but the overriding factor here is the almighty dollar. There is no other super fight out there that can both literally and figuratively generate the action or excitement that McGregor would. Admit it. You're drooling just thinking about it right now, aren't you? It's important to remember that fighters are commodities. If McGregor or St-Pierre take a loss in their next fight, then the chance to cash in on the two of them clashing in the octagon absolutely disappears. The fight needs to happen sooner rather than later. The UFC already botched this by not getting St-Pierre and Anderson Silva to sign on the dotted line when they were at their peaks. A faction of mixed martial arts purists will argue that it cheapens the sport to stage super fights like this, but that's not true. Fighting is all about spectacle. Putting on the biggest possible fight that you can to please the masses. Did you feel cheated when St-Pierre jumped the line to fight Bisping in the first place? Of course you didn't. The problem is that the rest of the world didn't care as much as the hardcore fight fans. UFC 217 reportedly did less than 1 million buys, which pales in comparison to the 1.67 buy rate that UFC 202 generated with Diaz-McGregor, or the record-smashing 6.7 buy rate established by McGregor-Mayweather. What that tells you is that the UFC is basically hitting their ceiling. Their growth curve has leveled out. Try selling that to the people who bought the company for $4 billion. There's a simple solution: a super fight headlining a supercard. Why not have Ferguson finally fight his nemesis Nurmagomedov? Throw Bisping a rock hold at Whittaker. Tell Diaz to knuckle up against Woodley for the welterweight championship. Hell, put Mighty Mouse, Nunes and the newly crowned Namajunas on the card too. That way everybody wins. A rising tide raises all ships, so to speak. Let's not beat around the bush and pretend that the biggest potential money out there for everyone involved involves GSP fighting McGregor one way or another. It's the easiest sell in the world, and everyone would be chomping at the bit to hand over the money smack dab in the middle of the summer when there's nothing happening anyhow. What could be better than McGregor returning to the octagon to take on one of the greatest of all time for a third championship in a third weight class? You know you want this. Dana White knows he wants this. McGregor knows that this is the only money fight left in the jar that wouldn't completely ruin his reputation. And you have very limited time with GSP. Make it happen, Dana. Giving the people what they want is what you do. We want Gsp-mcgregor. In the meantime, have a crack at all the mixed martial arts lines for upcoming events at betonline.ag.